We could look at each other and then.
Right.
You're live.
We're live?
Yes, you are.
Oh, I feel like you're lying, but I'm going to wing it anyway. What up, world? Happy Wednesday, and welcome back to another edition of The Culture Couch. I am Decent, and today it's a lot more lighter, a lot more funner, a lot more outer worldly, even. My guest today is the former CEO and chairman of Wizard Entertainment, but now he's the current CEO and chairman of the Ace Universe, and we're here to talk about all things superhero and dope. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Gareb Shamus. Woo!
Thank you.
Gareb, thank you for stopping by today.
My pleasure.
When I first heard that you were coming on, I was super excited because me being somewhat of a nerd and somewhat of, a fan of just comic book culture and just everything that you guys have done with the Comic-Con, rollout, for lack of a better term, and now venturing with everything that you're doing with Ace, I feel like the audience would be definitely interested as much as I am. So for the people who aren't familiar, give them a little bit of backstory about who you are. I know you have a deep history, but just a more, condensed version.
Yeah, so I grew up collecting comic books and sports cards. I have three brothers. And then when I graduated college, I started a newsletter about comic books. And people loved it so much that I turned it into a magazine called Wizard. And shortly thereafter, it just took off. I mean, we found a real nerve with people where, they were really into superheroes, but they really weren't seen as, part of the culture. They were outsiders, or the losers, or the loners. We were geeks and nerds. And when the magazine came out, it really brought a lot of us together. And shortly thereafter, a few years later, we decided to get into the Comic-Con business, more as just actually just to throw a party for the magazines that we were doing. Mm-hmm. And it was just magical what happened, where all these people came together, and we kind of reached out to all the movies and television and networks and all the video game and toy companies and all the artists and writers, and brought them into one place. And miraculously, all these people showed up, and they all of a sudden saw that there was a lot of people like themselves, and that really kind of galvanized the movement of geeks and nerds kind of getting together.
Awesome.
And then cut to 20 years later, there's hundreds of these all over the world.
Yeah, some bigger, some smaller, but you guys pretty much set the tone for these conventions and like these parties that you said. So with superhero culture being more prevalent and more dominant than ever before, what's the difference between back then, where people were aware of superheroes, they saw a few movies here and there that came out, they were still collecting comic books, as opposed to now where it's like pretty much mainstream media and pop culture to the fullest? What's been the difference between then and now?
So when we first started, we really were about acceptance. We really were kind of chasing the world to say, here we are, we're proud, we're excited, this is what we love, please accept us. Mm-hmm. And now we're at a point where we've been accepted. So now it's about building a global community and making everybody feel like they're part of this world and feel very welcoming about it. So when you really kind of get to the heart of it, it really cuts across a lot of spectrums where people who feel like they're disenfranchised or feel like they've been ostracized or outside can feel like they're part of something bigger. And that's kind of the root of what we were able to do. And now that the whole world has taken fact of that, all these kind of cons have started up, whether it's VidCon, BeautyCon, right? So almost every community of people has kind of organized to bring their disenfranchised or their group or their community together. So it's pretty amazing.
Definitely. And speaking of acceptance, one of the things that I feel like people kind of overlook, with the whole notion of Comic-Con and these conventions, is the fact that in this era, I want to say, with bullying and things that seem to be at an all-time high, with social media kind of exacerbating the interaction between people,
Yep.
I feel like you guys now more than ever are needed, because you do provide that safe haven for people who feel ostracized, people who feel different, people who feel like they're outcasts, to come and convene with people who kind of feel the same way. Do you guys keep that in mind now more than ever with the conventions and how they're kind of helping kids and even adults deal with some of the pressures of social media and being different?
Yeah, I mean, our shows are all about, our company is all about building community and making people feel like they're a part of it. So when we're doing the new events that we're doing, it's all about the experience. It's not about being a convention. Mm-hmm. It's about being part of this experience, and sharing it and being a part of it with your friends. We don't tell people you can't use your phones to video record stuff. It's like, bring your phones, bring your cameras. We don't care. We want people to feel like not only can they be there, but they could share it with their friends. And we're even live streaming all the panels so that if we have one of the biggest celebrities in the world, whether it's Gal Gadot or we have Chris Evans or Tom Hiddleston, we have Don Cheadle coming now.
Nice.
So whether you have all these celebrities, it's not just the people that are there that get to experience it. No matter where you are all over the world, you can experience it and feel like you're there. And that's the message to all of us out there.
Awesome. So what would the experience be like for somebody who isn't necessarily into superheroes, isn't into comic books, video games of that nature? How would you ingratiate them and give them initiation into the whole Comic-Con experience?
Right. Well, for us, there's no question that they're going to enjoy the experience a lot more if they have some tie to what I call the superheroes or the characters, right? So back in the day, they were Comic-Cons in the sense that, and even today, most of them, if not all of them, are all centered on the comic books and the comic book characters. And today, we've taken the approach of, our events are about superheroes. Because 99.99% of the people today that love these characters didn't discover them through a comic book. They discovered them through a movie or a television or a TV show or a video game or some other media. And we're all about being inclusive and not being exclusive to people. So the whole purpose of our experiences are about embracing people no matter where they discovered these characters. And that's a big part of our event, whereas, a lot of shows can be intimidating for people because if they didn't grow up reading the comic book and they don't know which issue was the first appearance of this character and who drew it and who wrote it, they feel like they don't belong.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Absolutely. But you have a lot of people flying in from all over the world to our events because they love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. And they didn't know of him until he was in the movie. And they love him as an actor. They love him as his character. And now they want to see him.
Awesome. So with Ace Comic-Con, you guys are pretty much taking it to a whole new level. Most conventions, in their name are held in like local convention centers. But you guys are expanding to like big arenas. What prompted you with the idea of, we've been successful for so long, let's go bigger?
Right.
Like, yeah. What really inspired you guys to like go full tilt and just pretty much seize the game, Thanos it, if you will?
Right, yes. Yeah, so my brother and I decided that we wanted to reinvent that world again. And we wanted to make sure that, look, we basically pioneered how Comic-Cons have grown and started through the years on the pop culture side. And we felt like the timing was right to do it again. The irony is that we're actually making our shows more boutique and less about being big and more about curating the experience. So rather than going to these convention centers and being a convention, almost like a supermarket where you're going aisle to aisle, we said we're going to be in arenas. And so when you go into an arena, you're going to an experience. Either you've been to a sporting event there or you've been to a concert, right? You're psyched, you're excited. You don't get that feeling when you're going to a convention center, but you get that feeling when you're going to an arena. And we wanted people to have that attitude and that experience and the tone that when they said, hey, we're going to, this arena or that arena to see Ace Comic-Con, they know they're going to something very special. And we wanted people to have that experience. What we also wanted to do was make it so that people that paid a ticket to come in can experience everything that's going on. A lot of times you have these Comic-Cons where they might have a big guest there, but the room only seats a couple thousand people, and then you have tens of thousands of people that don't have access. And we didn't want to create that type of exclusionary part. We wanted to make sure that because we're in an arena, you can get a seat, you can watch the panels. If you're there and you bought a ticket, you have access. And that's what it's all about. It's all about access.
Definitely. And speaking of access, now we know you have a lot of celebrities who are a part of, the comic book universe come by and speak, whether they be guests or, appearing on panels. But what's it like having celebrities who have nothing to do with, any sort of comic book franchise or anything related to comic books wanting to come by? Because you have a lot of celebrities who are big into, the comic book world. So what's that feeling like, knowing that you have these people who are revered by millions and have millions of dollars, but they still want to come and be a kid at these conventions.
Well, you said it. Everybody wants to relive that childhood moment that got them excited. And I don't care how big you are. I don't care how much money you are. I don't care how much money you have or how popular you are. There are still things in life that get you excited. And we do have a lot of celebrities that reach out to us that want to come just because they know some other celebrity is going to be there and they love them as an actor. And the other thing is that I believe that everybody's a superhero at something, right? So a lot of these people that have become successful, whether they're a musician or an actor or a sports athlete, there's something about them being a superhero too, where they've been able to excel beyond their peers. And, you know, they identify with superheroes because there's something about a superhero that that exaggerates a quality or element about them.
But they also have weaknesses that people can relate to as
where
well.
They're human. And no matter how big or how rich or how powerful or how popular somebody is, they have weaknesses like everybody else. And whether it's in their relationships, whether it's in their families, whether it's money, whether it's fame, whether it's, all kinds of things still impact their life. They still don't live a perfect life. And that's really where they identify. And that's really why it cuts across the spectrum of everybody. And, depending on which celebrity or which athlete, or which business person, connects with which superhero, then that connection is there.
Awesome. So, once again, you've been doing this for years and years and years, and it's your life's work, it's your business. How do you still find the love to just be a fan? Because sometimes when we pursue our passion and we wind up making our passion our jobs, we tend to get a little bit jaded. But how do you still manage to maintain the love and the ability to come up with great ideas like, doing Ace Comic-Con still?
Right. So it's a combination of a couple things. Number one is I did it for a long time, and then I did take a break for a few years in there where I needed to recharge. I felt like, I did as much as I could do at that time in my life, and I needed to step back. And when I stepped back, I became a professional artist. I started painting and started showing my art, and it's just been so reinvigorating for me to be able to express myself visually as an artist. And then also, quite frankly, I work and I have so many friends, literally thousands of friends that are some of the best illustrators and painters in the world because of the comic book world. It was great to kind of live on that side of the world, that they live and that they've experienced. So I definitely needed time to recharge. However, what I try to do is I always try to find the things that excite me the most. And then I go for it. And try to have great people with me and around me so that we all share the same love and experience for what we want to do and the passion for it. And if they're not into it, then they're not into it. But we just, as a company, as a culture, as even the celebrities that we talk to, if the celebrities have attitudes and they really are doing it for the money or whatever, we just don't want them.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that everybody that's part of the experience wants to be there, wants to experience it, wants to love it. And now I've been able to come back with a whole new lease on the experience because there's been so much new technology, so many new characters, so much new streaming networks and movies and new actors and social media that, it's so exciting. There's a whole new, palette and toolkit to kind of draw from that we didn't have years ago. So that is just added such a level of excitement for it. And for me.
Awesome. And getting back to your art, you jumping into that field, was that more so inspired by your love of comic books from a kid? Because you did go to school for art, right?
Well, I was a minor in art, major in economics, but I always loved and grew up doing a lot of woodworking and sculptural work, but not really painting.
So how was that, getting into something that was unfamiliar, especially since you've been doing this for so long? Was it more so a stress relief or just something that you wanted to try your hand at, given that you had experience with art?
Well, for me, it was just really a personal journey. It wasn't meant to be public. It wasn't meant to be, kind of setting up gallery shows. For me, I just needed a creative outlet for myself. I needed to kind of express my voice because when I was at the magazines and the Comic-Cons and all that growing up, it was very hard to express myself because I was running a company and it was hard, I couldn't disappoint people. I had a lot of people around me. So it was very hard for me to even find my own personal voice because the company came first.
Right.
So when I got a chance now to express my own voice, it took a few months, but I kind of discovered it really quickly because I've had 25 years of all this life that I lived prior, in business and relationships, things like that. So now all of a sudden I had a chance to say, oh, what are some of these themes that I've experienced, and then how can I visually represent them? And then it was only with about a year after I started painting that I then started showing it to some people in the art world just to see what they thought. And it really started to resonate because I've had a great life. I've had a very blessed life. And all my paintings are very optimistic and very positive and make people feel good. And that showed. And everybody I showed it to, I don't know how, but miraculously those themes came across. And it's really been resonating with people. And it's just been so much fun to do. And quite frankly, it is very meditative for me. It is something where my whole life has been surrounded by thousands and tens of thousands of people or millions of people. And now all of a sudden I could do something for myself, that my phone is off, my TV is off, I turn on some music and I can kind of get into my own head and just express myself by myself. So it's really nice to have kind of that kind of dual time.
Yeah. It's funny because you say that, you majored in economics and you minored in art, and kind of like the burnout in a sense with you was you running this company and then kind of finding solace with your art. It's kind of the age-old tale of art versus commerce, and it's like
right.
You were kind of fighting this internal battle between the two, at a certain point with wanting to maintain this entity that you build with Wizard, but then at the same time feeling a little bit unfulfilled with all these expectations. So for you to make not so much of a transition, but to add an extra layer to the person that you are is something that speaks to sort of like the kinship of how people feel about superheroes and the whole
right.
universe and mythology around them, character development, if you will, because they're always taught that they have to be strong, they have to be courageous, but sometimes they have to kind of take a step back from a situation, reassess it before they vanquish the villain, so to speak.
Yes.
So to kind of piggyback a little bit more about still having a love for comic books, how do you feel about all of the movies that have come out this year? Black Panther being such a huge success, Infinity Wars being the bane of my existence by tearing at my heartstrings that I had to punish myself by seeing it twice. And, you have the Aquaman film that's about to come out and, just all these different films centered around superheroes. And, of course, Netflix curating so many different Marvel superheroes and turning them into Netflix original series. Like, in your downtime, do you find yourself still, let me check this out, been watching, this or that, or do you kind of just take a step back?
Well, now I'm full into it, so there's no stepping back. If there's something cool, I'm into it. I'm excited. I want to see it. I want to experience it. But this year, two massive things happened in the superhero world. One is the global nature of it. There was a lot of markets around the world that opened up for superheroes. So whether it was in China or the Middle East and so many other countries around the world finally said we're going to embrace superheroes, that either haven't embraced it the way they could have in the past.
Right.
So that's number one. And then diversity. That has just been unbelievable in terms of what has happened in this industry, because for so long people said you couldn't have a black film, you couldn't have a female lead, you couldn't have this, you couldn't have that, and all of a sudden you had Wonder Woman, you had Black Panther, and it just broke down every single stereotype. Everything that people have thought about that you can or couldn't do in the past is on the table. Mm-hmm. And it's going to open up the possibility to create unbelievable new franchises and new franchises of characters, new franchises of all kinds of, not even just race or gender or religion. It's going to be everything, and that's what's really so exciting about it. And for me, where having kind of the history in the comic book world, where there have been a lot of these type of characters that have led franchises in the comic book world, it's been a lot of these other media that has been very slow to adopt it. And now that the movie world has gotten behind it, you're talking really big, powerful marketing machines that are getting it out there, and that is just really amazing.
Awesome. So, you being a comic book fan from yay high till now, a superhero fanatic of sorts, with all of the content that's out, be it movies, TV shows, video games, is there a specific superhero right now or superheroes right now you would love to see get their own movie or series or franchise?
Well, for me, I was always, Spider-Man was always number one for me. So from that standpoint, what they're doing with Tom Holland and the new Spider-Man films and that character has just been extraordinary. He's an amazing guy. He's been to a couple of our events now. I've never seen more girls cry or shake or be so happy
really?
After they've gotten a chance to meet him. And it's just so wonderful to see. And so for me, it was always Spider-Man. And I think, with Tom Holland playing Spider-Man now, they really got that franchise to a place where I'm just so excited.
Yeah, because, Toby did an amazing job, Andrew, for all the flack that he got, he did an amazing job as well. But I feel like with Tom, there's just there's this sincere nature about him that makes you feel like you're looking at Peter Parker whenever you hear him talk or you see him on screen.
Yeah, and they got him right. They got the character right. They got the tone right. The fact that now they've been able to integrate him into the Avenger world, I mean, it's just phenomenal. So,
with Spider-Man, how are your views feeling about the Venom film without offending your political connects right now?
I'm trying to avoid the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably see it this weekend, but Venom was also just an amazing character.
Yeah.
At least for me too, because I grew up in the Todd McFarlane era,
mm-hmm.
and to see what he was able to do with that character was just incredible. So, and I'm a big Tom Hardy fan, so we'll see what happens with the film. But I'm gonna see it. I'm excited.
I'm still waiting for a really, really good entrance point for Carnage.
Right.
We've all been waiting for years. I remember when I was in high school, there were rumors circulating about Jim Carrey playing him, and everybody got up in arms about it, like, this is going to be awesome. But how do you feel about rumors circulating about certain people playing things or certain films coming out about? Do you feel like it lends to the nature of people being excited about superheroes, or do you feel like it kind of just takes away?
Oh my God, we're like the kings of starting these rumors. When back in the day we had a column called Casting Call,
mm-hmm.
where they weren't making these movies, so we would pick the actors that we think would be great to play these characters. I can't tell you how many actors, producers, directors would call us up and say, "Hey, I'm really trying to get this movie made. Can you guys cast it for us?" I actually had somebody just very recently send me a magazine that we did back in 1999 where we cast Ben Affleck as Batman. And it was like in 1999 we were casting him. I mean, now ultimately, that's not Ben from 18 years ago, but it's like amazing, that even back then, that's what we would do, and then people would read that and be like, "Oh my God, are they making this movie?" And they'd be like, "No, that's who we want to play that."
That's amazing. So maybe you guys will wind up picking a few more picks for upcoming films.
Oh yeah,
because you guys just seem to have that insight, and I just think once again it's just so phenomenal that after all these years you still manage to have that optimism and that joy. Because seeing you talk about superheroes in these conventions, even years of doing them later, it's just like you're still there.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like, a hard thing to do because, once again, when it's a business, it tends to get a little bit tiring and a little bit, weary. But to have a little bit more fun now.
Yeah, well, that was the heart of coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come back because I wanted to make a few more bucks. I came back because I felt like this was the right time to change the world again.
Mm-hmm.
That world has been pretty stagnant, I feel, for a long time. And here was a chance to say, okay, this is what like me and my brother, this is what the future looks like. Let's just do it now. And we are the future of that world.
Definitely.
And I think the fans are starting to feel that in a very big way.
So with the success from you guys been seeing, with the Ace Comic Con, what would be the overall goal, if there is an overall goal? What would you like to see happen with Ace as a whole, be it the company and the conventions and just the whole culture surrounding it?
Well, for us, we're building the largest global community of superhero fans, bar none. That's it. I mean, if you are a fan of superheroes, we want you in our world, and we're going to make sure that you feel welcome and that you're excited and that you're going to feel part of this, global group of amazing people.
Would you ever consider doing things like on a more lower scale? I know the goal was to always get bigger with Ace, but now that you guys have gotten bigger, would there ever be a time where you guys would do a few one-offs to, kind of satiate the appetite of fans who may not be able to make it there?
Yeah, well, the good thing is that, we want to do everything. So right now, what people are seeing as kind of our first foray into the world is creating these amazing experiences. And then from these experiences, we're creating a lot of unique content that we're now live streaming. So we're building a whole content streaming platform, that we're going to have all around the world. So now all of a sudden, we're taking, like we had back in the day, we had the events and then we had the magazines, now we have the events and the global streaming platform. And we're using that as a launch pad now, where we're going to be getting into a lot of new things, to make sure that people that are superhero fans, anywhere they are, that we're going to be doing the coolest stuff out there.
Yeah, because once again, it's about the global appeal. It's about people being able to have that access, even if they're not able to make it to these big arenas. And we're definitely excited to see what happens. But can you hand me that box that's sitting right behind you?
Oh, yeah.
As you can see with the
Cool.
Flash logo that we have.
Yes.
Marvel, don't sue us. So this right here is called the PopDust Magic Box. Now, we've answered a lot of fun questions about superheroes, but we're going to use this opportunity to get to know a little bit more about you. So we're going to give you 3 questions. I'm going to shake the box up. You're going to reach in, pull out a question, and read it.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Question number 1.
What's my most embarrassing childhood memory?
Perfect first question.
For some reason, as a kid, for some reason as a kid, I loved the color purple. And one day, I decided to wear all purple to school. And that was not a fun day. I mean, I was called a grape. I mean, it was just like anything you can imagine that was purple. That's what I was called.
That was your most embarrassing childhood?
Yes, that was a tough one.
See, that's the perfect supervillain origin story.
Yeah. Right, that's where it started.
You could have went home, and then on the way, after being embarrassed about wearing purple all day, a grape truck could have spilled over. You could have got an avalanche of jelly just splashed on you. You could have been Jam Man. Who knows? Who knows?
Right.
But the possibilities are endless.
And then I became the wine master.
The wine master. See, franchise right there. I feel like with all your connections, you could pitch that and it'll go gangbusters. Okay. Question number 2.
What were you like as a teenager?
See, origin story.
Oh, it's all my origin.
We're not picking these on purpose, I swear.
So I definitely felt like I was an introvert, but in school there was always like kind of 3 cliques, right? There were the geeks and the nerds, there were the cool people, and then there was like kind of the middle and everybody else. And ironically, I was able to cross all the categories. I just didn't care. I didn't look at people a certain way. If I wanted to talk to the cool people, I spoke to the cool people. If I wanted to talk to the geeks and the nerds, I mean, I was friends with everybody. I just didn't care. I never saw people like that.
Awesome. Great diplomat.
I had a question. Is like, if you had anything that's not being made right now that you think would be a great movie from either comic book or superhero origins, what would it be?
What would that be? I'm trying to think of what I would want to see.
It's gonna be good.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm trying to think of what I would want to see. Probably a Seinfeld movie.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. It's still one of those franchises that, being from New York, it's still in reruns. It still resonates, and it was just such a part of our culture that I always felt like I wanted to see that in the theaters.
That's awesome. I'm gonna. Oh well, I was gonna say I want to throw something back at you. Buddy movie, Woody Allen, Seinfeld. Both New York characters.
I don't know.
No?
I mean, I think there'd be a lot of talking, not a lot of action. So, but not that Seinfeld wasn't a lot of talking anyway. But
The great monologue is what
We're
it's
getting
called.
the cast.
yeah.
Okay, last question.
Let's say from the bottom. What is my biggest pet peeve? Cigarette smoking. It's one of those things where, it's not I'm not trying to indict people who smoke, whether they're great people or not great people. But, I find it to be a little bit selfish. It's okay if you want to indulge in something yourself, but it's definitely something that affects others.
Yeah.
And, it's okay for people to have their own space, to be who they are, be what they want to be. I have no problem. But, when I have to walk down the street and, be a part of somebody else's smoke, it definitely wears on me.
Captain, plan to be proud of you, man. So, what are some of the upcoming Comic-Cons that you guys have?
Actually, in 2 weeks, we have one coming up in Chicago called the Ace Comic Con Midwest, and that's going to be at the Navy Pier in Chicago. It's October 12th through 14th, and we have a stellar lineup for that. We have Don Cheadle, we have Tom Hiddleston, Loki, we have Chris Evans, Captain America. We also have Zazie Beetz, Domino. We have Lee Pace. We have the Bella Twins. So we have, just this extraordinary cast of people that are going to be there. They're all going to be doing panels, so anybody who's there will be able to literally see them and be part of that dialogue.
Are tickets still on sale?
Tickets are still on sale. We have an incredible lineup of the most curated exhibitors and retailers that are going to be there, showing some really cool stuff. We have some incredible artists and writers that are going to be there from the comic books, people who paint sneakers. I mean, it's going to be one of those things where when people go to these Comic-Cons that we're doing now, these early experiences, they're going to look back one day and be like, I was there.
Definitely.
They're going to be able to kind of talk to their old friends at the time and say, oh, you remember that show? Or I was there when it all got started. So
and you guys are heightening the experience so the memories last a whole lot longer and even better in some capacities, because there's so many different ways for people to encapsulate the experience.
Absolutely.
now.
And especially because we encourage people to share that experience. We want people to take pictures and post it on social media and take videos and post it on and
go live while they're there.
Absolutely. We want people to feel like it's their event, to do whatever they want with it.
Awesome. So that is October
12th through 14th.
To the 14th
in Chicago at the Navy Pier.
At the Navy Pier.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun venue.
For everybody who's out there watching is from the Chicago area, make sure you guys pop by and just have fun for me, because I won't be able to make it. But yeah, thank you so much for stopping by. Is there any social information that you want to give out to the people?
Oh yeah, you could find us on Facebook at Ace Comic Con, and you could also find us on Instagram at Ace Comic Con, and then you can find me anytime at Gareb Shamus.
Awesome, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Gareb Shamus. Sorry, brain fart. It's been an amazing day, but. Thank you guys. Another episode of the Culture Couch. Make sure you stick around. We got PopDust Presents coming up at 6. Follow us on all social media at PopDust. Make sure you visit our website at popdust.com, and we'll see you not this week, but the following week, because Culture Couch is every other Wednesday here on Facebook Live. Take care, guys.